Welcome to Ask the Experts. We're here at MoneyWatch.com. Happy to have you along with us. I'm Jill Schlesinger.
I'm Jack Otter.
And we are joined by the famous Farnoosh Torabi. Hello, Farnoosh.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, let me tell you about Farnoosh. She's a superstar. Did anyone hear that in the preview? By the way, in the preview when I said I was high, I was saying I was high in the frame, not actually high. So I just wanted to clarify that in case anyone heard that. But
you're quick on your feet, Jill. That was
ain't I just? Okay, check this out. Farnoosh Torabi is a personal finance author, expert, and television hostess even. She recently wrapped SoapNet's new series, Bank of Mom and Dad. She coached young women struggling with debt. Most recently, Farnoosh was a senior financial correspondent and host of Wall Street Confidential with Jim Cramer. Oh, we're going to have to talk about that for TheStreet.com TV. Her work and advice has been profiled in numerous national magazines and newspapers, blah, 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 everything you could ever imagine. She's appeared on Larry King. So is he still alive?
There was a substitute on the show that day.
Oh, no.
I don't know why, but the wonderful Allie Velshi was filling in that day. It was a financial segment, so Allie was good to
very
host
good.
that. So.
Very good. So,
but I still call it the Larry King Live Show because
I think it is.
Technically,
it is. The View. How is that?
Amazing.
Really?
I love Whoopi Goldberg. I love the whole crew.
Really?
And for me, I mean, gosh, it was like it's like the ultimate, to get on that couch and talk about. We were there to talk about Bank of Mom and Dad, and I just consider it like one of the highlights,
Really? You mean your highlight is not right this
minute? Well,
it
was one of my highlights. A new chapter's begun.
By the way, the reason why Farnoosh is so famous is not just because she's brilliant, but she's also written a book called You're So Money, Live Rich Even When You're Not, helping young adults earn financial independence. And she has an upcoming book. Ding, ding, ding. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Let me just do that again. Oh, no. Did I lose it? Hold on, guys. I'm going to do it. Here we go. Thank you. I love these sound effects. I'm going to be so dangerous right now. Okay, so she's got a new book called Psych Yourself Rich, giving readers the mindset and behavior for building a strong financial foundation. Now, here's a question, Farnoosh. If Jack and I sort of do some sort of Ouija board moment, can we psych ourselves rich?
No.
No.
It's not that easy. Right. It's not that easy, but I think...
We got to keep our day jobs.
Well, you know what? I think there's something to be said about getting excited about money and your goals. And part of psyching yourself rich is, accepting that you have to prioritize your goals. You have to surround yourself with the community and the people that will support those goals. There's a lot of other tips in the book, but I think fundamentally it's about something that we often don't do, especially young adults, which is a little bit of soul searching and figuring out what's important to us. And I think now's a good time to do that because the recession has really created this paradigm shift in our culture where the things that we valued in 2007, not so much what we value now. Not to say that our goals have changed. We all want maybe, to live fulfilling lives, but what we prioritize.
Fulfilling. I mean, come on. How fulfilling does it need to be? Can't we just get jobs?
Well, that would be good. That's a good start. It's a good start. But you know what? The thing is, the book is very real. There are no jobs right now. So what do? One of the ways to position yourself in a way to earn your financial independence. The last chapter is about embracing the characteristics of an entrepreneur. Not to say that not to assume that everyone can be entrepreneurs and the next, fill in the blank, your favorite entrepreneur.
Right.
But who are entrepreneurs? They're ambitious, that they think outside the box, they're flexible, they take risks. The book really addresses risk in a way that young adults and everyone, we're afraid of risk. We're afraid of taking chances. But the book throws that concept out there and says, you know what? Risk is everywhere. Accept risk. You take risks every day. Let's reflect on them and start making better decisions, healthier decisions with a little bit of risk.
Now, Jack, you might find this interesting. Farnoosh attended Penn State University.
Really?
Is that not where
Did you go
bride?
there?
Yeah, my wife was editor of the paper, the Collegiate.
Fantastic.
Is this I knew there was a love connection right here. Thank God. Do you guys want to sing the fight song or something? All right, forget that. All right.
Probably could.
Yeah, I bet you could. All right. Now, listen, we are calling this show Back to Basics. And if you have a financial question right now, just shoot us an email. Ask the experts at MoneyWatch.com. And we would be delighted, or just click on that button if you're watching us live. Then we would be so happy to answer any of your questions. So again, financial fundamentals, Farnoosh helps people up. But Jack, we always hear financial fundamentals like shooting layups when you're a pro. You still want to go back to the basics, right? You got to keep doing that.
Well, as you well know, one of the very foundations of MoneyWatch.com is the idea that actually many of the basics are much more lucrative than the more complicated, great financial things we're going to set you up with, Jill, because really that's more money in the pocket of the guy who's selling it to you, but less in your savings account.
All right, so let's get with some questions. Here's a short one, and I'll point this right over to Mr. Jack. Ready? Here's from Walter. This is a quickie. Automatic rebalancing, yes or no?
Absolutely. More than yes.
Wow,
Absolutely.
that's good. Farnoosh, pick up here, automatic rebalancing. What's the best part about it?
Well, it's that you can kind of go on autopilot, especially if you're a passive investor. Although that said, I'm not a big fan of passive investment. I mean, I think even if you have a 401k or an IRA, you need to check your statements quarterly. You got to make sure that the rebalancing is making sense. And as you approach retirement or you get to a point in your life where you don't want to take as much risk, that automatic rebalancing may not make sense and you need to rebalance the rebalance. You know what I mean? So I think it's great in the sense that it does the work for you. And you can kind of go on with your life, but don't forget to check in once in a while.
The quick shout out I would give to automatic rebalancing is it forces you to sell high and buy low.
Right.
And that's the great thing about it,
right.
is that by trimming what's done really well, because that's so hard. I love that stock.
Mm-hmm.
It's a two-bagger. It could be a three. Well, just, sell a little
it sort
bit of
of
that.
transcends your emotions.
And then buy that thing that's been going down, which is very hard to do without doing it automatically.
Well, here's an interesting question from William, who says he wants to handle his own investments, and he understands that a 60-40 split between stocks and bonds is a good plan. I'm new to investing. What's the best way to look into stocks and mutual funds without getting overwhelmed by the process? So, Farnoosh, here's somebody who says, yeah, I want to do it myself, and yes, I want to be involved, but it is a little bit daunting, isn't it?
It is. It can be. I think, not assuming this is somebody who wants, we're not talking about IRA or 401k or, we're talking about a stock portfolio that he kind of picks and chooses. And there's so many online resources out there. I think if you're totally new to the investment world and you don't want to assume too much risk right now, go on to a stock simulation website. You can actually practice your bets. You can see how well you would do. You can get familiar with how to buy and sell. There are free sites out there that can teach you how to be good. And then from there, go on to the discount brokerages. I'm on E-Trade, and you pay per trade, but I think it's a good structure, and you can pick from your stocks and your mutual funds. I think 60-40 is good, but I don't know his age. If he's 20, 30, he could probably do 70-30, 75-25. Because I think you can afford more risk when you're younger.
Jack, you have anything to add on that, brother?
I would agree that 75-25, 70-30 would perform better. No question about it.
Yeah.
The danger is, we know, we're going to have a rocky time here, I think. And if he doesn't have the stomach to watch that 70% get hammered over the next few years, then even though he's, strictly speaking, would underperform on paper, 60-40 is safer, because he'll see that 40% bonds doing well.
Well, in the book, I talk about a 5-year lens as kind of we talk about retirement, we talk about rainy day savings, but what about the interim? And you can have an investment portfolio that you're shooting for the long term. But if there's some money in that portfolio that you absolutely need in the next 5 years, that's the money you don't want to risk with. You put that in the cash, you put that in the bonds, the money market, and then the rest, you do the allocation.
All right, I'm going to just pop in here. I think that it is insane. Hold on a second. Insane to trade individual stocks if you have less than a couple $100,000, so you can have a real diversified portfolio. So if you want to go to the roulette table and go play number 8 because you think it's going to come in, that's great. But if you are just starting out like this young man and he is talking about stocks and bonds, I think that you are begging for trouble by starting with individual stocks. I think that educating yourself is great. I think it's all terrific. But also, who says you're such a good stock picker? The experts can't beat the index. So why not get your feet wet by using some index funds and educating yourself? And you're not going to, I don't care what anyone says. It is emotional business. It's really freaky to see yourself lose money fast. And my fear is that someone comes in and starts investing with less than enough money to be a real, truly diversified portfolio, and without knowing what he or she does, then that's the same person who says, "Oh my God, the market stinks. I can't make money," and then never re-enters. So I don't want to lose those people.
But just to add to that, I think at Penn State, where I went to school, they've developed this amazing investment trading room, and the students there actually think, Jill, that they can trade individual stocks.
Okay, hold on, wait a second, Jack. What is the? Tell me how many fund managers have beaten their respective indices over the long term?
I think 20% is the
on any given year, but usually it's like one a year, right?
yeah.
But so
It's
okay,
more
so
than-
so just so we have the data supporting it, right? We know
the
that
academic results show
the
us that
academic
20
results say that individual stock picking is somewhat of a fool's journey, correct?
And you know what you said, the worst thing that would happen is they'd lose money quickly. Actually, the worst thing that might happen is this guy hits on his first few stock picks, and suddenly he thinks he's a playa, and this is with small money, and then 10 years from now, when he's actually built up some real money, he's overconfident and bets on stocks and really loses his shirt. So yeah, when you were talking 60-40, we were talking 60-40. In my mind was, 60% the Vanguard Total Market Index
that's
and
what I'm
40% the Lehman Index.
So
bonds,
okay, so Farnoosh, I'm going to let you finish because
Right.
I'm going to say that Penn State students are smarter than us, even though I did hear that story.
Oh, I
on
know,
This
on
American
NPR.
Life.
Oh, it's like the story that haunts
All right,
me
so I'm
for-
just saying that I heard that. So it
Oy.
sounds to me like the students at Penn State are very good at tailgating. And I would actually bet a lot of money on their
Just
ability to
tailgating?
beat us at tailgating. But anyway, tell us about their stock picking. I'm totally teasing you.
I brought Jim Cramer actually to Penn State, and he's got an enormous college following. And not to say these are all, crazy college students that want to buy and sell stocks, but there is a huge enthusiasm to get into the stock market. Yes, there are safer ways to do it, more rational ways to do it, but so you're saying that only unless you have hundreds of thousands of dollars should you participate in this game? It seems a little elitist, don't you think, when you say that?
No. What I'm saying is to get mathematically, you need basically to be properly diversified. I think it's 12 stocks of different sectors. So you've got to be able to pick the best stock in each sector to cover your 12 sectors to be properly diversified. Theoretically, right? This is all statistics.
Right.
Now, so to have 12 stocks in a 60-40 split, right? And so you have 60 stocks, 40 bonds, 40% bonds. The cost of you the ability for you to have a properly diversified portfolio so that you're not getting killed on in your costs in and out of like a small share lot, in and out would be, I think, pretty clearly it has to be like a couple $100,000. I'm not saying you can't understand how the stock market works, but to be quote unquote statistically diversified, you need enough money to have the diversification.
Right.
So it's not really elitist. I mean, I think everyone should be involved. I think it feels like the ability to go out and start gambling and sort of feel that juice, which Kramer promotes, as opposed to saying, let me learn the fundamentals of investing. That's where I take a different tack. I listen, I advise people for 15 years. I really get that people like stocks, individual stocks. It's just that over the course of my career, I haven't really seen individuals who are able to really do it with discipline, without emotions, especially 20-year-olds, and not find the gambling part more interesting than the long-term investing part.
I agree with you. It's a gamble. And, for the student who comes up to me and says, how do I get involved in investing? You can't have debt. You got to have savings. This money you have to be willing to lose. And some people, they're crazy enough to even go for it then. And like, I'm willing to lose this money because for me, it's like almost like it's a lesson I'm willing to learn the hard way. It's a sport. Call them crazy, but that's sort of what the culture has created in some ways. This group of young Americans they're thirsty for that gamble, that stock market roll.
Well, one way is the good old core and explore. If you want that gamble, and it's true, it's index funds are really boring.
Yeah.
So maybe you figure that the bulk of your portfolio is going to be in a very solid 60-40 split, and then you carve aside a little bit, which is your play money that
Exactly.
you're willing to
5%.
lose.
I say, it's like the speculative stuff that you just sort of like gut driven and and again, money that you're willing to not have the next day.
And we should point out with your 12 stocks, okay, so at $9.99 a trade, you're down $120 to start. So
Right.
if you've got $1,000 to invest, you just lost
Right.
12%.
Yeah.
and the guy who put it in the index fund is going to be 11.8% ahead of you.
Right. And so it's really hard. And I am a great believer in the democratization of investing. But I think democratization of investing can be found most beautifully in index funds and ETFs. Individual stocks, that's really where you're giving your money away to anyone else on the other side of your trade. You're just never going to be able to do it. Now, that said, go off and I don't like fun money. Fun money to me is like I go out to eat. Jack and I go have a scotch. That's fun. But if you want to go and gamble, go crazy. All right, I'm going to give you some more questions. You ready? We've got a lot of questions about credit and credit cards. So Kimberly wants to know, she says she's in the process of paying off all of her credit cards, was wondering the best card to keep after they're paid off. Is it best to keep the cards after they're paid off or best to close the accounts? So Miss Farnoosh Tarabi.
You got to keep them open.
All?
As many as possible. Now, that said, you don't want to start going and using all these cards like crazy. But keep them open and active enough. This is why. Your credit score measures is based on a variety of variables. A big chunk of that pie is the amount of credit under your name, right? So if you have 5 credit cards and altogether you have $20,000 worth of credit under your name, and these credits are current and they're not past due and everything, that's great. It's going to help you build a good credit score. Once you shut down credit cards, you're basically subtracting credit under your name. You're deleting that credit, not only the credit, but also the history of that credit, which will factor way heavily on your credit score. You'll see some dings on your credit score because of that. So, and I know the temptation is I want to close them, cut them up, throw them out. Fine, cut them up, throw them away, but don't actually close the account. And keep them active enough where you're charging maybe $50, $100 a month, just so that the bank sees that these cards are being used and you won't see the cards being closed on you because of inactivity. And in that case, again, you're going to lose the credit under your name. So the credit experts tell me you want to keep them open. You want to use them enough so that you can pay them off in full every month. And over time, that's going to ultimately help your credit score and help you get lower interest rates when you're going to borrow.
You like that, Jack? Keep a few open. Rock and roll.
Absolutely, keep a few open. I don't know where the line would be. I mean, if you went a little nuts and you have 6.
Well, the damage has already been done to an extent.
Okay.
It's like you can't go if you at that point agree to, you commit to keeping them open but not going overboard. I think that's a safe bet. And if you are some people are apprehensive, they don't want to keep those credit cards in their wallets. Don't. Maybe have them electronically linked to some utility bills and they're paid automatically in full every month, but they're being used. Maybe you're just not actively taking them out and splurging with them. Okay. So that's how you manage it.
I got another credit question here. I purchased a TV with an interest-free loan over 3 years. I also pay a monthly fee. If I lose my job, I can provide evidence and a portion of the debt will be released for every 30 days I'm without work. That's kind of weird. That's a cool, funny benefit, I guess. I lost my job at the end of March. However, I can still pay the monthly amount due. But, this is like an existential moral question. Should I claim the benefit since I lost my job? Or will this actually hurt my credit rating? Ha. I don't know that. I'm not sure. In other words, if the guy, so this is the reason that this is kind of interesting is that it's a cool feature of it sounds to me like it's more like a store base, right? A department store or something. And they say, okay, you buy this TV or Best Buy or whatever it is, and if you lose your job and you can prove it, we're going to release a portion of what's due. But could that hurt your credit rating? It sounds like it could.
It's very well possible. I mean, it's just sort of like, you settling. It's like it could be arguably just a settlement, and that could be reported on your credit history. It may not hurt your credit score, but it may be reported on your credit report. So you just want to make sure what the consequences will be and get them in writing so that if they say one thing and then something else shows up on your credit report, you can argue that, and that's good defense for getting that wiped off your credit report later on.
All right.
It sounds like I think Hyundai had the deal where if you lost your job.
Yeah.
That's right.
So it's clever marketing.
Yeah, we just don't. You got to know what the like you're saying that you really should find out in advance what I don't even know
the consequences.
Yeah, but I'm not even sure. I wonder if who you're going to call to really find that out. Right? You call
the loan
the store.
officer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whoever the lender for that. If it could be like GM, but their auto financing department, and
now Ally Bank.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you call Ally Bank, but I guess it would just be the maybe the sales rep doesn't know, but
All right.
customer service.
All right. Okay. I have a quick question for you from Anonymous. This is a funny question, but we talked about it. Remember the 60-40 split before? What's a good diversification breakdown for someone in their 40s? What do you got for me, guys? I have an opinion about this, but it's a boring opinion. So, Jack, what do you think?
Actually, I like 60-40 in your 40s. Yeah.
I think either that or, hey, look, guys, take a risk assessment questionnaire. I know I say this every single time we get this question. I can meet 40-year-olds who are very risky people, and I can meet some who are really risk averse. So, frankly, it just depends on who you are. It's also when you need your money, and as Farnoosh said, like when you're going to need that money, and how. But how you feel matters in this. It really does. Hey, let me just go. I'm sorry. You ready? You want to weigh in?
Well, I'm all for emotions, but sometimes our emotions are wrong. They lead us to make the wrong decisions.
Absolutely.
So you could be risk averse at 40, but why? Are you remembering the fact that when you retire, your retirement's going to be 30 years long and that money's going to continue to be invested? And so even if we have a recession tomorrow again, if we have a double dip, or in 10 years we have another crash, you're probably going to be okay by the time you take that money out. And you're not going to take it all out in one lump sum. So I feel like there's a lot of risk, but it's not founded on concrete truths or at least historical trends. It's just kind of like an unbased fear that maybe it's ingrained in our childhoods or it's... So I would analyze the risk and why that is an emotion, or the fear rather, and why that's an emotion.
Well, what do you do, though, if you are someone who is risk averse and so... Like Jack comes in and he says, I feel queasy about this because we've just gone through this horrible recession and the market fell. And then he comes back and he listens to you and he says, yes, you're right, rationally. But the next cycle down, he freaks out and sells at the bottom. That's the thing that I think is scary, right? So how do you suggest people prevent their emotions from taking over when the next down cycle comes? Or, by the way, not piling in at the top when the market's really frothy.
Well, I think it goes back to that 5-year lens. Okay, so listen, a recession happens every 5 to 6 years in some capacity. It maybe not as severe as the one we're in now, but there's going to, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? I mean, that's just like economic history. That's the cycle. So that's the fact. Let's assume that's the fact. And if you have money that you absolutely cannot risk, I don't think it's all of it. Again, it can't be. I mean, you're investing for the long term. That's what you got into it for. So if there's money that you absolutely need in the next 5 years, let your emotions control that portion of your portfolio. The rest, don't, keep the diversification the way it is, or, be assured that it's okay to be a little bit more risky with that rest of the money you're not going to want to touch for the next 20 years. I mean, is that fair to say? I know I'm not going to tell somebody that you got to do what I say and forget your fears. And, ultimately it's the one person's choice. But I think there's something to be said about reminding people of historical trends, reminding people that of the future, what it could hold, and that, there are ways to stomach risk that you may not be thinking about right now, but
it's important. It's just hard to do. I
know.
A good buddy.
Am I too optimistic?
I think you are. A good friend of mine took me out for a drink right after my magazine had folded. I'd lost my job. I'm the sad guy, right? This so happens, and no coincidence, it was in early March of 2009 at the very bottom. And we started talking about the market. He said, oh, yeah, I just sold a third of my stocks. I said, Nick,
I know.
that's the bottom. That's how you know when the bottom is, when you just can't stay. And he actually went on about how it was just too painful for him. He couldn't deal with it, and so he sold. And here's a smart guy. This guy actually runs his own company, a very successful company. But when it came to his own money, he just couldn't make the smart decision. He threw in the towel. It's just so darn hard for people.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it is something that people grapple with. That's why this is such an interesting business, and personal finance is so important, and managing your own money that's consistent with kind of making sure you don't fall off the wagon a little bit. We get that. But if you want to stay on the straight and narrow, you should actually go out and buy Farnoosh's book, You're So Money, Live Rich Even When You're Not, and get ready, because when she writes that new book, her upcoming book, Psych Yourself Rich, she's going to come back and we're going to get more advice from her, and we'll keep an eye out for you. So what are you doing? What's your new thing we should be watching for you now?
Well, I'm just trying to blog more for you guys and try to just get more information out there about, managing your money smart. I've hooked up with LearnVest thanks to you, Jill.
I'm a matchmaker.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I'm working with credit.com, which is a consumer credit advocate, and just trying to do more of everything and just trying to juggle it all,
Jack, and Jack, if you can give Farnoosh the one thing that you think that she doesn't know yet because she's young and spry and optimistic.
Little too optimistic.
What are you going to tell her? What's the thing to remember?
What's the thing to remember?
People are dumber than you think.
I found it was a lot easier to save money when I was younger, and the only guy I had to please was me.
Yeah.
Than when I've got 2 children and a wife, and somehow it just is harder. And obviously they're more expensive. I'm not talking, but even relatively
on a percentage basis,
because there's more. It's fine to deprive yourself. It's harder to deprive the rest of the family.
Dependents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Farnoosh, we can't thank you enough for
Thank you
joining
so much.
us.
I
You'll be
learned so
back,
much being here.
and
It's always
yeah, she's like, oh, these old
no
curmudgeons.
way.
So thanks for watching. And if you've got questions, just shoot us an email. We did get some questions. We'll get to you in the next couple of sessions, which is totally, on the schedule, ready to rock and roll. But again, ask the experts at MoneyWatch.com. Farnoosh Torabi, you can go get her books out there. Look her up. Go on her blog right now here at MoneyWatch, because is your new blog called You're So Money?
It certainly
That's
is.
so cool. Jack, I got to get a new blog name. That's way cooler than mine.
Yeah, it is.
It
I've
is.
got a bowling shirt that says money. That was my handle.
like that.
That's good. All right. Very nice. Okay. That made Megan laugh, so that's good enough for me. Thanks for watching. Thanks for showing up. I'm Jill Schlesinger.
I'm
Say your
Jack
name.
Otter.
And you are?
Farnoosh Torabi.
All right. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time.